Hi everyone, Bandana here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk all about city builders. Recently we've had a rash of releases into both 1.0 and early access. And while they're all city builders at their core, where you must build a city, collect resources, research new tech, all the while expanding and meeting the needs of your people, they also cover a wider range of gameplay styles. So you may be asking which is best for you, and that's exactly what I plan to discuss during this top city builders list. You could consider this some mini reviews with a focus on the difficulty or level of complexity. Also, please remember to let us know in the comments if you've tried any of these games and which ones you recommend as well, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so I know people are enjoying this style of video. With that said, let's move on to the titles in no particular order. First up is Anno 117 Pax Romana, the latest entry in the long-running Anno series. I'm a big fan of these games. They've generally been well designed, and they've always tried to bring in some new ideas without wandering too far from the original premise. Pax Romana is a solid title, and the best launch Ubisoft has ever had for one of these titles. And while it's had a few fumbles in terms of the multiplayer, the single player has been very solid. It's also tried to uplift the combat side of the game a little bit compared to some of the previous titles, which is quite fitting for the Roman era. Giving you the chance to build an epic Roman city, or indeed multiple across various islands, and the ability to construct in Albion, aka what would become the United Kingdom, with a totally different style of buildings. You will deal with various events, missions, and disasters, and don't forget to keep those gods happy for those juicy bonuses. As ever for an Anno title, supply chains are straightforward and clear, and there's no weather effects or seasons to worry about. Everything tends to unlock at the right time for you to progress its setup in a manner that doesn't overwhelm you. As ever, there is a research tree, and this contains mostly upgrades for buildings and various tech. However, there are a few unique buildings or weapons and things that can only be unlocked via research. Anno games are fairly chill, even with some elements of combat. They aren't designed to make you suffer, though granted you can ramp up the difficulty if you so wish. Generally speaking though, I would stick this in the fairly chill category of city builders, and the progression is pretty reasonable in terms of timescale. You won't have to spend your life in this game to get to the top end tech and see what your Roman city can truly become. Next up is Farthest Frontier, and this is perhaps the other side of the coin. It's designed to be a challenge. Again, it does have difficulty levels of course, but its aim is survival while also building up a city. It has years and seasons with more complex mechanics that affect everything in the game, from what plants can be foraged to what crops can grow in fields, not to mention the need for crop rotation and various elements of field management, and of course food spoils over time, so let's just say it goes pretty deep with this stuff. The game also has combat, probably being a significant step up from that of Anno Pax Romana, and you can expect to be hit by raiders on a semi-regular basis with increasing numbers as the years go by. You will also need to deal with aggressive wild animals, as well as the usual city building tropes of fire, disease and famine. It is a superb title. I love the challenge and the mechanics. If I had one negative about it, it's that it's very slow to progress. I've sunk nearly 11 hours into the game so far and feel like I have only just made a dent in getting towards the third level of the town centre, but I'm not there yet. Now, don't get me wrong, it's my first city, so it's going to be slower of course, but just something to factor in when you're looking at this game. Basically, if you're looking for something that is a significant step up in terms of complexity, probably difficulty, and something to sink quite a bit of time into, then I highly recommend Farthest Frontier. Okay, next, how about something which can be a mix of chill and more stressful? Well, that might be The Wandering Village. Released into 1.0 earlier this year, it's graphically a bit simpler and more cartoony, but can provide either a very story-based experience or quite the survival challenge. You build your city, or perhaps town is a better term here, on the back of a giant creature which you must care for or, well, enslave. Yes, the game has that sort of route. This creature will venture forth into various biomes, all of which have various effects on your town, from dry climates limiting water supply to sea-based ones where you can fish off the side of your creature, and even poisoned biomes that will harm both your people and the creature itself. It's somewhat of a whimsical adventure, and I appreciate not everyone will enjoy the art style, but the mechanics of the game are quite impressive. It's a good step between Anno and Farthest Frontier, but with the city on a smaller scale and more focus on survival as you go through these biomes, as you will be at serious risk of running out of something, usually water. I really enjoyed the game and had a very good experience with it, and it's had regular updates since that 1.0 release, so it's not like they've just released it and abandoned it in any sense, so that's pleasing to see. As I say, this one is sort of between Anno and Farthest Frontier in terms of complexity, but it certainly feels a lot more chill than Farthest Frontier. However, I haven't tried the challenge mode, so maybe that would make me feel different. Let us know if you have down in the comments below. Alright, let's take a look at something very whimsical that has just entered early access, Whiskerwood. One thing we have seen over recent years are various animal-based city builders, and this goes down that same route, with mice being the population of the city, and perhaps unsurprisingly, cats being their overlords. It has verticality in a similar way to Timberborn, if you've ever played that or seen me play it on the channel, where buildings can be built on top of each other, but it's more island-based along the lines of Anno. While the beginnings are humble, you quickly expand and delve into more advanced tech and simulations, including terraforming, water, and steam power. You could say it has a little bit of Factorio thrown in with its automation of production chains and conveyors. Much like Farthest Frontier, the weather will have a significant effect on your city, not just your citizens and their mood, but also your production chains, and it's important to keep things running well so you can keep up the shipments to your feline overlords. Or else. But how long will you suffer their oppression? Will you bow to them forever, or will you eventually fight back? Certainly more of a fantastical story than Anno or Farthest Frontier, but don't let that put you off. However, obviously it is early access and still needs plenty of work, so, it's up to you if you pick one up in early access, but it's certainly one to keep an eye on. Probably leans slightly more towards the Farthest Frontier in terms of difficulty and complexity, but certainly isn't trying to be quite as survivalist. Speaking of animal-based city builders, another game that released into early access very early on this year was Airborne Empire, a twist on a standard game where you actually build your city as a flying airship, which you must keep aloft lest it crash and burn. You move your airship city around a large map, sending out resource gathering teams in various biomes and completing side quests as well as a main storyline. It has various combat elements from sky pirates to small numbers of actual boss battles, which leads to a range of weapons being available for your airship as well as fighter craft. It is another whimsical tale where you play in a world of anthropomorphic birds who do not seem to have the ability to fly themselves. But that aside, it has some amusing characters that you encounter along the way. This one was pretty chill other than the mild stress of the pirates, but honestly, those battles weren't too bad at all, and generally speaking, it was a fairly chill experience. I wouldn't say it was quite to the level of a cozy game, but certainly pretty chill. Now, those are kind of the top ones I really wanted to mention, but there's a couple of other special mentions. The first one of those being Town to City, a game that released into early access a few months ago. This is a cozy city builder, and I mean truly cozy. So this is the extreme chill even compared to Anno. I tried the demo for this game and was very impressed with what it had to offer, but I wasn't convinced it's truly for me. However, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam for good reason. It has the same basic setup as any city builder, but it's more about creating a beautiful looking city, letting you place just about everything yourself to make your city look good and attract more citizens. Everything is extremely organic. You literally paint paths rather than them being locked to squares, and you can place objects almost anywhere. It's relaxing from its art style to its gameplay and of course its music, so it's not your typical city builder, but I know this will be of massive appeal to some people who just want to make something that looks nice and have a really chilled out experience. This one is probably as cozy as it gets. And the final special mention is because they're hinting at a possible 1.0 release before the end of the year, and that is the awesome city builder that is Timberborn. It's been in early access for 4 years and has undergone many upgrades in that time. It's a project the team have clearly been passionate about, and it shows. I've dived into this game a few times over this period and have always been impressed by the various additions to the game, all based on the idea humanity is gone and the beavers are all that remain in a world with limited water supplies. It's a really interesting take on a city builder where you have the choice of 2 different factions of beavers who have very different approaches to how they interact with the environment. You can play as the folktales, who gel with the environment and nature, or the more industrious Iron Teeth that rely on more dirty technology. You will survive through wet, dry and toxic seasons while catering to the needs of your population. This one is probably a little bit beyond Anno in terms of complexity, but it can be a fairly chilled experience still. Its complexity is just a bit different to that of Anno. It's sold over 1 million copies and has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So that should tell you something. It's certainly up there as probably one of my favourite city builders of the last decade. Now, there are a number of other titles that were released this year in one form or another, but unfortunately a lot of them have very mixed reviews, so I've stuck to the top picks here. But if there's one you think I've missed, let me know down in the comments and I'll check it out. Thanks as ever for joining me. I hope you found a game you like the look of here. And remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you all soon.